Hello, and welcome to the Journey of Grief, Becoming Us Without Them. Today, I've invited Leandrea Bell to come and talk to us about grief as it relates to her work. And she does amazing work, so it's going to be really great to learn all this. So, Leandrea, tell us about yourself and your work.
Hi, my name is Leandrea Jones Bell, and I am the founder and the CEO of Stepping Stones to Success. What that consists of, we have the family law side that we do anger management, parenting classes, domestic violence, if you are not on probation, co-parenting, and also supervised visit. And on the recovery side, reentry, we have homes of men getting out of prison. I've been a foster parent for about 32 years. I've worked in, numerous prisons and county jail, and I just love what I do.
That's great. So, we've been talking a little bit about all of the layers of grief that apply to that before someone goes to prison, during prison, and when they leave prison, just the loss after loss after loss that these poor people sustain in their life. And this might be called what they call a disenfranchised grief, where people might say, well, that's not grief. What are you talking about? But losing your life is the very same as losing the life of someone that you love, and often includes losing someone that you love. So just kind of talk about this life full of losses and mourning that these people have.
So I have homes with of men, and the grief starts really when they're a child and they lose who they are, and they don't understand who they are. So then that's when they go and they get in gangs, they get on drugs, because they're minors. They don't know how to place their grief. And now they commit a crime, which is mostly violent crimes, and then they go to prison for 25 years to life. And, could you imagine being 18 years old, your whole life is ahead of you, and now you're in a cell where you have to share it with someone, and sometimes three people. It all depends, and you're sleeping in a bunk bed. And they don't know, what grief is about, and they don't know how to communicate that grief. So then, when they get in there, maybe grandmother raised them. So now grandmother's passed away. Mom, and dad OD'd on fentanyl. So now they're gone, and they don't know how to talk about the grief. They don't know how to um, place the grief where it goes. So it takes about 10 to 12 years before they say, okay, I can't do this no more in prison. They see a lot of people dying, a lot of fights. Some of them spend 6 to 7 years in a hole, which is they're not around no one, and they don't come out for an hour. And so that's when sometimes they started thinking, some of them grab a hold to the Bible, and some of them just start reading positive stuff. And they say, I can't do this no more. And they know eventually they're coming up to the board. So then they start working on grief. Like, I lost this person. 9 times out of 10, their support system is people, their partners that did drugs, their people, their gang family, and they're not going to come see them. And they may see in them a couple of packages or maybe for the first 6 months, and then the girlfriend they had fell off. So it's a lot of grief. Um, and so they be angry. People don't understand. Anger is nothing but fear. That's all it is the not knowing, and it's the fear. So when there's so many resources and so many classes and that they have inside the prison, they try to go to all the classes. And some of them got to become a man, because when they went down, they were a child. And still keeping up with the politics. That's the biggest thing. Still trying to work on yourself and keep up with the politics, that you don't get hurt in there. Because you made a name for yourself, and you left one gang, now you're with the prison gang, and it's very hard. Um, They work, a lot of them work on anger in there. A lot of them work on men, becoming a better man. And that's all we're working on grief. Then they get out, they have nobody, you know. Some of them have to go to classes, it's mandatory per the parole to go to classes. It is mandatory. And some of them just try to make it, try not to go back, try not to get on drugs. I had a few that couldn't handle it because they were still doing drugs inside the prison. So they, when he got out, the first thing he talked about, I don't have nobody. My mom passed away, my dad passed away, my foster sister, brother passed away. I don't have nobody. And, you've done so wrong that the kids don't want, and your family don't want to fool with you. So who do you have? But now you're out here in this big old world, and it's different because you were somebody in prison. Now you're out here. The grief is you're nobody. You're just a little person in this big old world. So they turn back to drugs and turn back to crime. I am very fortunate. I haven't had that many to do that with my program. But grief it's very hard and difficult for them because they grew up in prison.
Yeah, and there's nobody in prison you can talk to about the sadness and the devastation of realizing that you created something out there that you thought would be family and safety and belonging, and it cost you everything, any chance of the future you thought you might have, if you even thought you would have a future. And now you're there, and this is your life. And those people that you thought were your family don't show up, and they don't want anything to do with you. And it's like everyone died, and nobody
Right.
helps them to do anything with all that. And so it's easy for them to just convert that to anger too.
Right. And inside there, some prison is just like being out. Some prison have really good mental health staff, and then some prison, don't. But the hard part is that, you're connected deep in the prison politics. You may be told you can't go see a counselor. You can't go see that therapist. You can't go get the mental health, because you would be classified as weak, and we can't be classified as weak. So you can't do those things. So you have to self-help. A lot of guys, some of them are phenomenal at it. Some of them really need help. A lot of guys try to do all their grief, anger, all their rehabilitation by themselves. Now, CDCR has, like I said, some prison have really good, phenomenal resources, and some of them, you're in prison. Why should you get resources? Um, it's how you do it and how you're able to do it safely. Some people say, I don't care, I'm going to um, not be bothered with the gang no more, and I don't care, what happens. But then he may move from prison to prison to prison. Some people get married in there. They get married at the beginning, and then all of a sudden she can do it after 5 years. And it's very hard. It's extremely hard for people. And then, like I said, they get out, they don't have nobody, and then they try to reconnect. And then sometimes the family straighten up, and you can say one thing, and they don't want to be bothered because they think you're going to go back into your old ways. A lot of people don't believe that you can rehabilitate and be a better person because you've been in prison for so long. And that's another greed. Now my family won't even talk to me.
And so what do you do when someone comes into one of your homes? What are the ways that you actively, sort of proactively support them and their mental health journey of knowing everything that's going on with them and what does it mean? And it's not just staying clean and sober. It's not just making it to your PO's office when you're supposed to be there. It's not just doing your drug tests. It's trying to become a human being who lives on the outside when you didn't know that in the first place and you went in at 18. So how do you even figure out human how to adult. How does someone learn how to adult when they come out, open their toolbox, and it's totally empty?
So a lot of times when they get to a house like mine, um, the first thing they say is, "Oh, I want to open up a house like this." They don't even know the beginning. I'm like, "Oh, okay." And I tell them, you need to have a plan A and plan B, because you only have them for 90 days, right? They may get an extension for another 90 days, but they may not. The director of West Care, he's very awesome, phenomenal, and he's really been helping the guys. He really has. And very supportive um with us, the providers. But they some of them get out and it takes them 90 days to even say, okay, now I need to look for a job. So my house cannot give services. So what does that look like? We don't give rights, we don't give counseling, we don't give therapy, we don't give no services. But there is a company that they can hook up with called Better You, and they go to Better You. So I make sure for me in my home that you have the support. What does that look like? You're at a clean house, very clean. You don't have to worry about, let's be honest, there's some houses are very dirty. You have to worry about the cockroaches, the rat. The food, you go get your own food. So it's not like you're eating what um I want you to eat. So you can get your own food. So let's just say you're Mexican, you like Mexican food. So you don't have to eat, soul food, or you don't have to eat food that you don't, because you'll go buy your food and you cook your own food. I also tell them a plan B. What does that look like? Some of them's going home to girlfriend or going home to mom. And I said, okay, sometimes that doesn't work, because they're going to be looking at you like you open up my refrigerator, but you don't have a job. And that's very expensive. So, what does all that look like? Sitting down, this is what I tell them: do your plan on paper and revisit your plan on paper. Even if you got a job, you got to save money, because people that have been out like me, I've never been to prison, but people that have been out like me, when I have moved from one house to another house, it was very hard. It wasn't the money and it wasn't the credit. And I explained to them that you show up to a house and you have 13 people showing up to the house, and then there's a scam. They're telling everybody to fill out, give me $50 per adult. And there was like 4 adults. So give me $50. So it was always $200. And then you're number 11 on there. So I explained to them the realization. And that's what you get at my home. You don't get the cookie cut. Oh, well, CDCR said this or West Care said that. I have a good case manager. My last case manager was phenomenal with West Care. Placement, is very phenomenal. So having them really sit down, and we have house meetings. I know some people have house meetings every other week. We have ours once a week. And I start out with the house meeting. Tell me something new that you learned about yourself last week that you didn't know this week. And we do a check-in, and sometimes it's the other participants in the home helping them. Well, hey, there's a job fair there. I went and seen that job fair. And go down to, I'm gonna mess it up, I think it's DOP, or DRP or something, Department of Rehabilitation, program. They tell each other, go down here. Well, if you go to Folsom, giving them the tools and letting them know that it's okay to go get counseling, outside counseling. You have Medi-Cal. It's okay to go do that. It's okay to go sit on someone's couch. Um, I do have to give drug tests, and I tell them up front, if you test anywhere dirty, alcohol, drugs, I have to discharge you. So if I feel like 2 o'clock in the morning, I want you to get up and take a test, or 1 o'clock in the morning, or if I give you a drug test and I'm sitting doing work and I ain't looked at it to 12, and I have you fill out the paperwork, then I have to discharge you right then and there. There's nothing I can do, and you have to leave. And letting them understand, just sitting down with them and talking to them and being um, an open door policy. I think that's what helped them. Once they find out what all I had to go through to even start this, they're like, okay. And letting them know I do have pretty good relationship with a lot of the parole officers that the guys would be by my house. So letting them know, hey, this parole officer is going to do this. This parole officer is going to do that. You're going to, have to do what you need to do. I've had since I started maybe 4 people, and I keep a pretty full house. I only have 6. I don't do bunk beds. I don't do overpopulation. I only have 6, but I've had maybe 4 people that, didn't succeed the program. Letting them know that there are other services that's out there. SBCB is a very good service, letting them know different things. If you feel like you can't work, yes, you got to go get Social Security because you have to eat somewhere, and letting them know that it's not going to be easy, but you have to get out every day and do the work. And so at my house, you can't hang out, you can't watch TV. You got to go do something. You got to be productive. And what does that look like? Get an ARC, um, go to, some of them had college already in the prison. Okay, go to Project Rebound at Sac State. You have to get up and go somewhere because, like I said, realistically, you only have 90 days. The new director, West Care, he's phenomenal. He's been really helping the guys. And I think, they finally have someone in there that understands the guys' trials and the trials and tribulations that the guys are going through, um,
Oh,
and, and really want to help.
and so do you, like, if you notice them struggling, do you ever have opportunities to say, you know, this is normal. This is how you should feel. You left prison was your home and now you don't know who you are. So just talking about that, you're transitioning from one version of you to another version, and you miss knowing where to be and what to do and how to do it and what the rules are.
Right. I do talk to them about that. We do it in a group setting, we do it in individual setting. Some of them, I have one guy, he tells me every step that Miss Bell, I gotta interview. Miss Bell, I got this, Miss Bell. So I meet them where they are. Some of them don't need help. I have one guy that did his transformation. He literally did his transformation in prison. Had gold teeth in his mouth, he had dreads, and his parole officer let him go. His fiance was in Tennessee, and so his parole officer let him go like the first night because she came down to stay in the hotel. And of course, he had to tell me where he was, hotel. And when he came back, like 2 days later, he cut his hair. He took the gold out of his mouth, and he said, "When I went down, I was a boy. Now I'm a man." And he has a really good job now. He has a phenomenal job in Roseville. His fiance with me moving down here, I think within 30 days. He was my lead. He completed my program. Now he's at Bridges, um, completing that program. He's going to his all the classes he need to go to. He's in electrician school now. Um, Department of Rehabilitation is paying for him to go to electrician school, and he's phenomenal. He saves his money. He's a penny pincher. He has me laughing, but he saves his money. But he did very well. But he changed inside, and that's what a lot of you have to at least change 80% inside before you step out. If you're still, I have one that told me, and he did, he showed me he had 5 degrees and he was gloating about his 5 degrees. I was like, well, you should have got 10. You've been in there long enough. And he didn't make it, because he was still doing drugs inside the prison. So when he got out, he didn't make it. I think he stayed with me for 30 days, and he went, out there and yeah, now he's at River City because he has a phenomenal parole officer that didn't want to violate him. And people have to understand the parole officers aren't they don't want to violate. The ones that really want to help really want to help. And he told him, just come see me, come see me. And he went and he got him in a in a program. I think a lot of us want to help. Like me, I would love to have more homes. but it's just hard for people to rent. You know, they don't want to rent to homes like this, and I don't understand why. You know, I'm an open book. You can come see my home. I take really good care of your property and everything. And you know, even placement at Westcare was like, Leandrea, you know, and they're awesome. Placement is awesome. You know, they're like, yeah, you need to open up more homes, but it's just trying to get somebody to, you know, say, okay, you can have my home, because they think, and that's another grief. You know, they think people they don't understand their story, and they just think they're the scum of the earth, and not everybody had a choice, you know, to not to go to prison. It was, you know, some of them, prison is hereditary. Just like being in a gang, it's hereditary. You do talk to them, you do, you know, like me, I have rules that probably there's no sagging. There's no sagging in my facility. There's no like slang, there's no prison politics, and that's in my rule books. I will violate you for that. There's no like, you know, wearing boxers around. There's no, you got to be dressed. There's none of that. You know, simple thing is eating in my living room. I will discharge you for eating in my living room. People might think, oh, well, that's petty. No, that's a part. I'm teaching them rules. It's not about being petty. It's about rules. You know, following the rules, because you're going to have to follow them. If they said lockdown in prison, you was in lockdown. And a lot of them, like I said, they try to um, give their self therapy, as in reading books. They all have tablets now in prison, you know, because a lot of them still won't talk. And when they get out, you know, they try to find a good home and someone that cares. But I try very hard to give them what's real, you know, and what they, you know, told them. Just like the homeless people. People say, why are people homeless? Because they want to be homeless, because they don't want to go to a program, because they don't want to follow rules. That's all it is. They don't want to follow rules. I want to spend my money and still do drugs, even though I'm grieving, right? Because that's why I'm doing drugs, but I want to be out there. And some parolees, you know, they want to, I'll rather go homeless. I stayed in a box all them years, I can go homeless. And they haven't. A lot of people get out and they haven't dealt with that grief, that loss, that anger. They have not. And are they willing to? No.
It's hard work.
Yeah, it is. It is. When you start
And
knowing about yourself.
if people don't understand that it's all that complicated emotional stuff, they'll say it's character
Right.
disorder. And a lot of them have trauma backgrounds, and trauma therapy is no joke. It's like putting yourself through the dryer. So
Right.
nobody who goes into trauma therapy has any idea what it's going to
Right.
be like. But you get better and you feel better, and life starts to make sense, and it starts to be easy to be alive. But boy, in the beginning, when you just start shaking that hornet's nest, it's complicated. So they come out, their structure's gone, their order's gone, their relationships are gone, even their mentors are gone. They're a stranger in your house, they're a stranger in their own town, they're a stranger in their own family. Is it any wonder that the anguish takes them down?
Yeah. Yeah. 65, maybe even more, 75% do not want to go back to their hometown. They do not. Some of them is forced because that's where their crime is. And then you may get a parole officer, oh, you're staying right here. And some of them, like the one guy I was talking, he's not even from here. His crime was here. And he ended up getting so much positive opportunities, and he thought about it, and we sat down and talked. I said, well, you go to Memphis, it's totally different in California. You may have to do your whole 5 years on parole. You stay here and you've already did 6 months, you stay another 6 months, you may be off parole in another 6 months, to whereas you can go wherever you want to go. If you guys want to go back to Memphis, and he has no family here. And that's why he sat down and we did a plan. Okay, you stay here 6 months and then you go to another program. You may be there 6 months, and then, by then you should have enough to buy a house, or, your significant other comes here. But it was a plan. And that's what, so when you do come to my program, I make sure you have, a notebook, pen, and, I make sure you have a plan. You write down your plan so you can see it.
That's great.
And just not giving them, pressure, because they need to breathe, not giving them pressure of, oh, these are the rules, these are the rules, these are the rules. Because that makes them feel like they're back in prison.
So you have a few rules and you keep them, but not so many rules where you're structuring all their day.
Correct. You can leave at 6 a.m. You got to sign out when you ain't got to come back to 10 at night.
And hopefully they're doing something productive with that time.
Mm-hmm. And it shows when they're not. It shows.
So what do you think when people are coming out of prison and losing that whole lifestyle, what is the thing you've noticed? Who adjusts better? Who has a harder time adjusting?
The lifers adjust better, because you're a lifer if you do 15 or more. You're a lifer. You're considered a lifer. So lifers, you adjust a lot better. The youngsters that do the 2 year here, then they did 3 years here, they're not done. They're not done at all. They're still want to mess up. They still don't want to. I had one go buy a car, and he wasn't even from this county. And I was like, "Do you have a license?" And the way my house is, you could park across the street and think I don't know it. And I had a deaf guy, and I was like, "There's nothing wrong with him. He might be deaf, but there's nothing wrong with him. He wouldn't bought a car, and then his car got towed, and then this is that." But they were young, early, mid 20s, early 30s. They were young, so they didn't care. And he just, called me. He wasn't mean. He claimed he got a job. He just called me. He was like, I can't do it no more. I was like, okay. But he didn't know that his parole officer was like, okay, well, you're not even supposed to be in this county. You go back to your county. And then he was trying to call me, Miss Bell, can I get back in your house? No, I'm sorry. And, you have to do the work inside. You have to. You have to make some change inside, even if it's very little, in order for you not to come out and go back. But I see the older guys that, hey, I'm 40, I'm 50, and I don't want to go back.
Oh. And so what do they do differently? What does it look like? When you see someone who comes out and says, I am not going back, what do they do differently than the ones that are like just trying to take up space?
So the main thing is that, they're actively looking for a job, or they got in school, or they're using their resources, because you get a lot of resources in prison. They're using their recess instead of the ones that talking about, oh, I'm gonna go hang out with this my girlfriend, and oh, I need to go see my kids, and oh, I need to go see my family, and oh, I need to go see my friends. Well, who are your friends? Oh, guys that I was with before I went down. Well, I don't think you should be hanging around those guys. They haven't. They haven't changed. And then you ask them, uh, because you have to get a GED or high school diploma, I know, when you're in there to help you get out. And then you ask them, he's like, okay, are you gonna go back to school? No, I'm just gonna get a warehouse job. So they haven't even thought of a career. I'm gonna get a warehouse job. And you have them, because I tell them drug tests are expensive. So if you're dirty, you need to tell me, because I don't want to use. And they're like, yeah, Miss Bell, I want to smoke weed. Okay, go pack up your stuff, because I need to discharge you. But the ones that get out, they're like, I'm gonna go get, my Medi-Cal. They have a plan really already. I'm gonna go get my Medi-Cal. I'm gonna go to ARC. I'm gonna go to Department of Rehabilitation. I'm gonna see my, parole officer. They have a like an A plan. I'm gonna go get my driver's license. I'm gonna go get my Social Security if they didn't have it, before they got out. You see the ones that, oh yeah, I gotta go see my mom, and oh, my grandmother and everybody's coming, and they're gonna give me a welcome home party. You're out. That should be enough party. You know what I'm saying? And
So
it
the
just
ones that should have clearly let go of the old life and
Mhm.
are going to do whatever it takes to build a new life, and the ones that are still holding on to the old life, go back to the old life.
Yeah, and it's age. It's age. A lot of youngsters, and that's why when they send me referrals, first thing I look at their age, and not saying the older ones haven't did it, but it's their age, and it's the length of time that they've done. So you have someone that's done 7 years, they're not done. You have someone to sit down for 15 plus years, 9 times out of 10, they're done. Yeah, they're done. You don't have to, they don't want to go back. And then the guys that's on the registry, they really don't want to go back. They made it out alive. They don't want to go back.
What does that mean to be on the registry?
290s,
So
the
the
registered
registered sex
sex
offenders.
offenders. Yeah, they don't want to go back at all.
It's hard for them. Um, there's restrictions on where they can live and where they can work and what they can do.
It is hard for them, but I had a 290 home, and trust me, these guys made it work. And it was sad. A lady moved to daycare next door to me, and they took my registries and placed them somewhere else. Um, but the guys, they pound the pavement. They really, you have to get out there, and if you're getting out there looking for a job at 12 o'clock, you're not ready. These guys would leave at 6 in the morning. Some of them would be on bikes. Some of them would, even now, some be on bikes. Some of them be on the bus, and be like, Miss Bell, I'm gonna go to the library. I'm gonna go to EDD. I'm gonna go here, and they would do that. They would pack them a lunch, and that's where they would go. I'm gonna go down and get my Medi-Cal, so I could go see the doctor. A lot of them would do that. The older ones and the ones that did 15 years, but the other ones, like I said, they're getting up at 12 noon. Well, you got to have your chore done at my house by 9 o'clock. You got to have your chores done. So they'll get up, do their chores, and go right back to the room to sit on the phone to do nothing.
And as long as they don't violate any of the rules,
Right,
can't really do much about that.
right.
Yeah. So, just to sort of finish up, so in terms of what do you want people to know? Like just 1 minute of wisdom. What do you want people to know about what it's really like? These are not, they didn't wake up when they were 4 years old and say, oh, I can't wait to be a convict. I'm going to be
Right.
a gang member and destroy my life and go to prison. It's going to be so fun. So what do you want people to know about how life is stolen from them progressively to where they just don't care and they are one big ball of grief and hopelessness?
I would like the world, and this is from always different parts of the life, but I would like the world to look at the people that are coming out. We call them second chance citizen, and I really would like them to not judge and listen to their story, even though they're all put in a bowl. You're a convict, you did something bad, you went to prison, but you don't know their story. Take the time. If you really want to get in this type of profession, if you really want to do, it's not about money, it's about taking the time and having that empathy for the grief, and understand that they suffer from more grief than anybody. It's a world in there, but non-judgment. And I know for myself, I've been carjacked. I've been having my house robbed. I've been, you know, I'm the manager over at my house. At nighttime, I stay with them, and I'm the manager. And you just have to understand their story, even with the 290s and the registered sex offenders. Even if you've been molested, understand that person's story, because that person may not have done it, but it was with someone that did it. And it's just like, well, like a 187, if me and you go commit a 187, they're not going to say, okay, Leandra, you go ahead, we're going to just keep Barbara. No, I'm going to get the same crime. And understand they're human beings and they didn't have the tools. Some of us, yes, has been through the same thing they've been through, never been to prison, never did all that, but that's us. It's the same thing as being addicted to drugs. Some of us had addictive parents and we never did it, but some of us is not that strong. So understanding and having the love and empathy and giving them what it is, a second chance. They were convicted, they did the crime, they were convicted, and they did their time. And understand, and not everybody that committed a crime is a horrible person.
Exactly.
They're not. And some of them are very educated. And some of them know what they did is wrong, and they have empathy, themselves. And I just want the world to know you know, it's just like the stereotype, every African American male with tattoos and dread is a thug. That's not true. This is not true. You know, um, we have to get past that. And that's for me. I try to know individual for who they are. Another thing I did not do is, they told me, I worked in a prison, they told me their story. Oh, okay. But then I went back to my office and seen, their records. Like, I heard what you said. Now let me see, what's on your case file, what happened. And I still didn't judge because I wasn't a CO. I'm not the warden. I'm there to give you services. That's it. And that's what I really want the world to understand about grief, because even though you didn't go to prison, you may not know about grief. And grief is it's hard to get over because you got to look at yourself in the mirror. And that's hard.
Yeah, everything is gone and I did it.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Well, okay. Thank you so much for giving
You're
me this
welcome.
time, and it was great seeing you.
I
And
know.
I hope to see you in person soon.
Right.
And
Yes.
keep up the great work of being at least one small little island of safety in a world full of terrible transitional living facilities.
Right. Right.
And
Right.
thanks. I'll see you later.
See you later. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.